Nice to have you with us here on the Art Lewis Show. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we will be hearing from Tony Stamas from Midland first. And then in the second part, we will have Lieutenant Kim Vetter from the Michigan State Police join us to talk about Click It or Ticket. At 11 o'clock, Andrew Brown from Winnegar Fire Protection will be with us. But for this hour, we're going to bring back some memories and maybe talk about the future. And those memories belong to when I came here, was still operating an institution in this area adjacent to MBS International Airport called the Tri-City Dragway. Many of you may remember it, and many of you may have run on it. And then it fell on hard times and closed down. And in recent years, you may have noticed that there have been car shows, 2 of them, I think, right now, and a third one coming, which we're going to talk about this morning, and also an attempt to rejuvenate Tri-City Dragway, all by a person who you would look at and say, huh? Because he's not old enough to remember Tri-City Dragway as a dragway, but he certainly is a visionary. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, you're 21 years old, is that right?
Just 20.
Just 20, yes. Not even 21 yet. Micah Fleming is with us this morning, the man behind the idea. Michael, good morning to you, Micah.
Good morning, Art. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much for being with us today. So before we get into the future and what you'd like to see and what you're dreaming about at that racetrack and what you'd like to do with it, what drew you to it? Why does a young man studying accounting at Central Michigan University wake up one morning and say, I want a drag strip?
Well, I didn't know that I wanted a drag strip originally, but in about 2021, I really started doing research on buildings around Saginaw, around Bay City. So I've always liked the historical aspect of things. And I went on a tour of MBS with James Kanders, the airport director, and he had mentioned that there was an old abandoned drag strip out there. So, of course, I had to do my research into it.
Well, it's one thing to do research and say, look what I found. It's another thing to say, I'm going to rebuild it. What happened?
I'm not sure. I took it over from Tony Svetic and thought, okay, we're just going to continue to do the car show and try and give some money away to the community. Took a turn, to say the least, and we started up a nonprofit, and now we're going to go for the big goal of reopening the strip.
So let's talk about the car shows first. You did not put on the first car show, right?
I did not.
You put on the second one, though.
Correct.
And I was at that one, and you had hundreds and hundreds of cars out there. What was the count? I forget it was around 5, but it might have been a little less or more.
We're thinking it was around 570.
570,
no
yeah.
Official count, but that's what we're thinking.
And there was room. I mean, there was plenty of room out there.
Yep.
It's a big hunk of property adjacent to the airport.
Yep.
Which technically the airport owns, but you lease from the airport, right?
Correct.
Which is the way it works.
Correct.
So it's one thing to put on a car show. It's another thing to say, I'm going to create a business and bring back a drag strip, particularly at a time when drag racing, we don't hear a lot about it anymore. So what in your mind said, this might be fun?
Well, it's a project for me. I got enough free time, as you can probably tell.
Wait. You're still in college. How do you have all that free time?
Well, yeah, no, it all keeps me busy. I'm just, grateful for the opportunity to be able to lead the organization. And my goal for this is to get involved in the community in some aspect. It's always been my goal to benefit Saginaw and to continue to further bring Saginaw up instead of down. So that was my main goal with this, is to give back to the community in some way.
Well, it would, it's in the heart of the Great Lakes Bay region. It would certainly be another feather in our cap if we ever had it open again.
Yeah, all 3 communities would benefit, and I just want to bring a place where people can go, where it's cheap, they can have family fun, and enjoy the weekends.
All right, before I get too far along with the drag strip and how that's going to work, When is the third car show? Because you do have one scheduled this year.
Correct. The third car show is Saturday, August 9th from 10 to 2. We're currently running pre-registration on our website, which is tricitydragway.com. We're expecting it'll probably fill up very fast this year. So.
Yeah, I mean, after the reputation from the last 2 years, it's been great.
Yep.
It's it was one. I mean, there were just literally hundreds and hundreds of cars out there. What for somebody with a car who wants to come out? What's the registration fee?
Pre-registration is $15, and then if you register at the gate, if we have space left, it's $20. And then we're running spectators are $10 this year due to the limited space. So,
well, that's it's all reasonable. It's not excessive. Yeah. It's not out of sight. Did you make money last year to be able to give back?
We did. So far, it's sitting in our pockets. We're looking to, renovate the tower, potentially patch some of the areas on the site for the police academy. So we're really fundraising for the future. That's our main goal right now. So,
but I did notice last year, from other times that I've seen it and been out there, the tower area was cleared of a lot of vegetation. The tower now is there.
Correct.
See it.
Yep.
I don't know what kind of shape it's in, but the tower's there. I wouldn't imagine you could use it.
No. All the floors are rotted out. The roof's rotted out. No more staircase.
Just a shell.
Yep.
But it's a memory.
Yeah. It's surprisingly the structure's in pretty good shape though. So.
Have you found a lot of people that race there?
Almost everyone that comes to the car show. I'd say probably at least half, but the stories I hear are everyone being there and everyone racing. I'll tell you this, I have yet to hear one story about a spectator coming in the right way and paying the admission fee. So if there's a story out there, I would gladly take that and love to listen to it.
So let's now turn to the realities of rebuilding an old drag strip. Not only do you need a new tower, you need all kinds of pavement.
Correct.
All kinds of structure, which, from what I was told, were in the millions.
Correct.
13 of them, to be exact. What's the plan? Just out of curiosity, is there one yet?
Well, we're in a base term right now. We have a 10-acre lease out there with the airport. We're exploring our options. Currently also clearing the property for the car show. Moving forward, we're in talks with the airport to take over about 65 acres out there. Granted, before this happens, we have to do an acoustic study. We have to do an environmental study, all of our studies with the FAA, and then also, getting that approval from the board of directors at the airport. Once that happens, we have to go for a zoning.
One of those little things, yeah, it's just annoying little things.
Yep. No, it's a process starting out, but once we get approval for that, we'll have a contingent lease. Essentially, is what we've discussed, meaning that we'll be able to go for a zoning switch. Once we get that zoning switch, we can go for the fundraising for the overall drag strip. So it's a bit of a process, a bit of a time-consuming process as well.
Well, it's airport property. What's its zone now?
Currently agricultural.
Oh, is it really?
It is, yes.
A lot of the airport land was agricultural.
Yep. So Tittabawassee Township in the 60s and 70s used to have a racetrack zoning specifically for the drag strip. They no longer have that available, so we have to go in front of the board and get that switched over to, I believe, commercial now. So.
Oh, not a racetrack zoning again?
I don't believe so.
You don't think they'll redo that?
I don't know. It might cause for some more in the area. So
we're going to take a break and come back talking to Micah Fleming, who is the inspiration behind the rebirth of Tri-City Dragway. We'll tell you more about it when we return. Back with you here on WSGW. In studio with me is Micah Fleming, young man behind the idea to revise and revitalize Tri-City Dragway. But we also have somebody else in the studio who has some history with that drag strip. Introduce yourself to everybody who you are.
Don Morse.
Don, I've known Don a while, and you have history with that strip, don't you?
I do. Back in the day when it was a full-fledged drag strip, I worked out there. My whole family worked out there. and never missed a weekend.
Did you race?
I did. Once I got old enough to race, I did race. My father wasn't happy about that, but you know, at least it was on a drag strip, and it was safe.
Yeah. I recognize that because my father wasn't happy about my '64 Corvette that I had either. That was a hot rod. And you, of course, were a longtime police officer, and you actually did training out there, didn't you? And they may still use it. Do they still use it for police training?
They do still use it. The Delta College Police Academy still uses it
because it's rough. It's not smooth.
Yeah,
like it used to be.
Correct. And when I every 2 years that we used to have to train out there and go out there, and it was a little rough, but you know what? We have rough roads in Michigan, so
probably good training.
It is. So actually, it's one of the nicer places to train. We tried some other places, parking lots and stuff like that, but kept coming back to.
Well, it's isolated and nobody bothers you there.
Correct.
And now you're on the board.
I am.
There is now a Tri-City Dragway board, Micah.
Correct. We have 9 members. So.
And let me ask about, if you had the crystal ball, the Micah crystal ball, the timeline of getting this all done.
Well, we're on a timeline, a tight timeline right now of about 2028.
To be racing?
Correct.
Wow.
In this past couple weeks or so, I'm thinking it's pushed back to probably 2029. You know, we continue to sort of struggle in the funding sector. So.
Well, that's always. I mean, get used to it.
Yep. No, I understand.
I'll tell you when the funding will improve. Funding will improve when you get all of those organizations that have to give you approval to do so.
Yeah. Yep.
Because then people will see the reality. And it might be interesting then to see how the fundraising goes.
The hardest part is getting there, though.
Well, of course, and that's where the work comes in.
Yep.
That's why you have a board of directors.
Yep. So.
Don. But, I mean, you really, it's more than just revitalizing it. I mean, you really have to rebuild it.
Correct.
You literally have to, strip up all of the asphalt and go down to the base, put a new base down, and then put new asphalt down. You have to build a new tower. You probably have to build stands and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're really going in, and even though there's something there, it's not going to be there when you're done. You have to rebuild the whole thing, don't you?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep.
Literally.
So, well, if it happens, we're hoping to keep the historical aspect of it. I want the timing tower to stay the same. We'll probably do additions onto the concession stands, and for the most part, I want that historical accuracy there.
Any photos of it from when it was in its heyday?
Yeah. There's plenty online. If you just search Tri-City Dragway in Saginaw, whole slew of photos on there. It's pretty cool.
And, I still have to go back to why you and drag racing. I mean, there's a lot of projects you could have done. Just what is it that settled in and said drag racing? At a day and age when drag racing has diminished in its popularity.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really the drag racing that strives me to do this, and I think it's truly building a family atmosphere for individuals. If we're the first person to put a smile on someone's face on the weekend, that's what I want. I want something good for this community and for everyone to enjoy themselves. And I think Saginaw is starting to have that comeback where I want to be a part of it. So.
Great Lakes, the Great Lakes Bay region, I tell people, might be the shining star in economic recovery for the state of Michigan. Corning is building what was $1 billion, now $1.5 billion plant. They're going to hire 1,500 people.
Yeah.
Hemlock Semiconductor's looking for a couple of hundred. SK Siltron's looking for a couple of hundred. So we may see a rebirth in population in this area. And that would be another quality of life thing to have.
Yeah.
It's a monumental task. And I'm sure you realize it. You deal with it all the time now.
I do. Mayor Brenda Moore always calls me a dreamer. So I will gladly take that title and run with it.
Well, it's how things, I mentioned this to Don earlier, too. I mean, it's how things happen. Somebody has to have the dream. Somebody has to have the foresight to say, look, we need this. We can make this happen. I mean, if you look at the folks in this community who are big philanthropists, for example, the Dick Garbers, Herb Spences, Furloughs of the world, Shaheens of the world, they all had dreams.
Yeah.
They all started with dreams. And look what they've done with them. But it's perseverance.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to sidestep the no's because you're going to get them. You're going to get them. It's guaranteed.
Always.
Yep. But from those you learn,
Yeah.
It's part of the success of it. And what's your sense, since you've met with them now, what's your sense of the airport board's support? I know James is a supporter.
It's hard to say. I think there's some positives to it. The property hasn't been leased since
Right.
they bought it out in 2001, but before that, their section of the property hadn't been leased since '78. So I think there's some real benefit there to bring in some extra revenue, bring in maybe a couple more airlines into there or a couple more flights.
Well, he's always looking to bring an airline in.
Yeah, yep. So I think there's a good aspect there, but there are some concerns there too. We have neighbors that we have to respect. We have lighting issues. We have sound issues. It's worst comes to worst, an airplane lands on it. So there's a lot of issues we have to look for, and I can't really gauge, how they feel.
The way you deter the aircraft is you paint a big yellow X at the end of each end of it.
Yep.
So they don't land there.
Yeah, you would think so, but surprisingly,
things
it's
happen.
happened.
I mean, listen, life takes turns and twists.
Yeah,
obviously,
Yep.
But where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, it just takes perseverance.
Yeah.
But the thing you've got going for you and against you is your age. Think about it.
Yeah.
There's going to be those who say, "Oh, 20-year-old Brad, how's he going to build a dragway?" And there's going to be others that look at you and say, "Wow, what a visionary!" Really,
I hope so.
Well, definitely. I don't think there's any two ways about it. I'm going to take a break, and we'll be back with more as we chat with our guests this morning. And he is Micah Fleming. He would love to see Tri-City Dragway rebuilt and reopened. And he is producing a car show this year in August. We'll remind you about all of that. Also, Don Morse is with us, a longtime worker at the track, historian, former police officer in Saginaw Township, with stories to tell. And we'll be back with more. Speaking of stories, let me talk about my friends at McDonald Ford. Because, right now with tariffs and the uncertainty and all that stuff, it's hard to find something made in America. And it's really the uncertainty that keeps us all from doing things. Well, McDonald Ford, when they got wind of the fact that the tariffs were coming, they stocked their lot with tariff-free vehicles and many more en route. Not only are they tariff-free, but Ford is now offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay the same price as Ford employees do. In addition, Chrysler and import buyers, consider a Ford because you're going to get the lowest price offered. Chevy truck buyers can now think about a Ford F-150, America's best-selling pickup, also at employee pricing. So you see, now is the right time to visit McDonald Ford M47 in Freeland, not far from that Tri-City Dragway, for the best selection and lowest possible price. Don't let tariffs prevent you from getting the vehicle of your choice at a price you can afford. Visit McDonald Ford in Freeland today. Remember, tariff-free and employee pricing for everyone. And Ford has announced that they have extended the employee pricing offers through July 6th.
Not everyone who handles your personal
Back with you now on WSGW. We are talking to Micah Fleming, and he is a young man with a dream to revitalize, literally rebuild the Tri-City Dragway. Maybe you have memories of it. If you do, give us a call, 989-752-6111. What do you remember about the Tri-City Dragway, which operated basically from the 60s through 1978?
Correct.
Was the last race. So, if you were ever out there, participated, we'd like to hear from you. 989-752-6111. And we were talking during the break, Mike, about the fact that while, you can rebuild a drag strip and you can have drag racing and all that stuff, the property lends itself to a lot more.
Yeah.
So what else would you like to see there besides the drag strip? Because you don't do drag racing every weekend.
No.
You probably do it, once a month maybe, have a race, or in the beginning particularly?
Yeah, so the plan would be probably 8 to 10 races per year. That's about half of what a normal drag racing schedule would be. Main reason for that being we want the police departments to use it for all their training, as well as the Delta College Police Academy. We'll be in there throughout the weeks. Also like to use it for a festival grounds, whether it be an art show, or even music acts coming in. I think there's a benefit there to use it as a multi-purpose venue.
Well, and in some ways, you'd almost have to do that just to keep revenue flowing.
Yes, that is true. Yeah.
It's one thing to finance it and build it. It's another thing to operate it.
Yep.
As an accountant, you would know that, though. He's studying accounting at Central Michigan University, so he's good with numbers, folks. Good with numbers. And Don, in the days of that track back in the 60s through 78, there were a lot of people around here that raced, weren't there?
There was a lot of people that raced, a lot of well-known people, and Tri-City Dragway drew people not just from Midland, Bay City, Saginaw. They drew them from Ohio, Detroit area, and stuff like that.
Some of the biggest names in racing at the time.
Connie Coletta, Shirley Muldowney.
Shirley Muldowney at the time.
Dick LaHaye.
Yep. And Muldowney, though, because she was a female drag racer, which wasn't very prevalent back then, she was at the top of the heap. If you wanted a national star of drag racing, people would watch just to see her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, it was a feather in the cap of the Dragway if they could get her up here. And a feather in your cap because you got to change your oil.
Yeah, exactly.
that was a good time. I don't remember now how many people the stands held. How many spectators were there?
I don't remember either, but they were always full.
Yep.
They had some great meets out there, and the track was known for one of the nicest tracks in the Midwest because it was so flat and smooth. So that's why all the racers love to come to Tri-City Dragway and race on it. Even the Top Fuel cars and stuff like that used to talk about how nice the track was.
So, Micah, have you been to other tracks? And have you studied, for example, timing and the equipment needed and all of that and what there is today in the modern world?
Surprisingly, I have yet to be to a drag race.
Micah!
No, we've done a lot of research. We've been in contact with the NHRA as well. They're kind of helping us through some of the stuff and getting us in contact with different track owners. Our hope for this summer is to actually go down to Summit Motorsports Park in Ohio and meet with the track owner there. So,
well, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
You don't want any surprises. Because it's not only the track itself and the equipment and all that, but it's the operation of it.
Yeah.
And the organizing of the races and all of that.
Yeah. They they send us their budgeting and everything like that, and they budget for everything from towels to a broken bleacher. So it's important to see that operation side.
So if you were to build it today, how many people would you envision seating?
Well, it's a hard thing. I could see the opening weekend being north of 20,000 individuals, but that's not realistic.
Don't limit yourself.
Well,
it's where you put them.
It's a realistic number. Yeah, it's where you put them. We would most likely do about 5,000 for the stands. Would be my goal, and kind of keep it at that. level throughout its life.
And Don, in terms of drag racing, are there a number of enough racers today in it?
You know what? I don't know. I know there's a lot of older drag racers that are still in it, and guys that still pay attention to drag racing. I think quite a few of them are retired but are still interested. And if there was a track in this area, I really think you'd see some guys get back behind the seat. In fact, we've had guys mention on our webpage, on our Facebook page, that if the track opens, they'll be there to race. And
Yeah.
so
It's what interests me in all of this is if you look at today's machines and the speed achieved in those machines today, you can buy cars, everyday cars in the open market that are as fast as the old drag machines were back in the day. You buy some of if you have the money to buy some of the foreign exotics that do 217 miles an hour, and 0 to 60 times in under 3 seconds, and it's amazing today.
it is.
I can't imagine what the speed is like in current drag racing world, because the records have to have fallen. I mean, it's got to be.
Sure, you got top fuel dragsters that are hitting 341
Yeah.
miles an hour, and funny cars the same thing. Pro stock cars are, upwards of 215 miles an hour. So
In a quarter mile
exactly.
with big parachutes.
But because of that speed and the dangers behind it, a lot of tracks went down to 1,000 feet, and they don't race the quarter mile anymore. They race 1,000 feet. So,
Would you alter, or would you do a quarter mile?
Well, we would have a quarter mile track, but if the NHRA is to come in, or one of these series, we would go down to 1,000 feet. It's just a safety thing. But we would probably be, I think, if we were to reopen, we'd be the second largest or longest track in the country. So,
Wow.
there's a benefit there.
We'll have to ponder this some more. We'll be back with our guests after these notes.
Reliable.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW. Michael Fleming in studio with us. He's the young man with the idea for rebirth of the Tri-City Dragway. And as part of that, a car show, which has already been done 2 times and now a 3rd time in August. What's the date again, Micah?
Saturday, August 9th.
And Don, you were talking about the fact that a show like this takes sponsors.
it does.
Now, you already have a title sponsor, TJ and American Gassers. You talk about a quality individual. He tops the list.
He does.
He really does.
Yeah.
So
We're happy to have him part of our board, and great knowledge, and
and a phenomenal builder.
and knows a lot of people.
And knows a lot of people. But first and foremost, he's a quality individual.
Yeah.
And I think, anytime you want something to succeed, you have to have those kinds of people working it. And he's just first class all the way.
Absolutely. So we're still looking for sponsors. So I'll turn that over to Micah. I mean, that's his
Money.
forte. Exactly.
Stay out of it, Don. Money.
Yeah, so we have sponsorships ranging from, $100 to $2,500 and above. They're all on our website, and we'd be willing to work with any company, really. So hoping for the best this year.
And let's talk again about someone with a car that wants to enter their car. The costs and how to go about doing it, registration, because it's open now.
Yeah. So pre-registration's actually on our website. It's tricitydragway.com. You can head over to the registration tab and pre-register there. That is $15. The